Strongest raid bosses based on lore?
In this video, we'll be going over the strongest raid bosses based on lore. And at number 10, we have Archimonde from the Battle for Mount Hyjal and the Hellfire Citadel.
Alright.
Maybe. It's actually kind of hard to determine the number 10 spot on this list, as it's not as clear-cut as the next 9 spots. Because it has also been said that Kil'jaeden is just as strong as Archimonde, although Archimonde has slightly more feats of strength to fall back on. Archimonde was able to snap the neck of Malorne like a twig, and Malorne was one of the most powerful wild gods, who are equivalent in strength to the Troll Loas, with the most powerful of which possibly being a tie between Malorne and Hakkar. And that's not his only accomplishment. He was also able to destroy the city of Dalaran at a distance. Although there's 3 other characters in the game that kind of fit the same feats of strength. Lei Xin, the Thunderlord, was able to defeat a wild god in 1-on-1 combat, though his fight lasted for 30 days. He also had the accomplishment of defeating a Titan Keeper before stealing his power.
Lei Xin was
and then we have Queen Azshara, who is stated in lore to possibly have the power to rival both Archimonde and Kil'jaeden, while she was still in her humanoid form,
I don't know
before
about
she received a power boost from an old god. And then we have Mithrax, the Cathraxi, who was so powerful Alola had to blow herself up in order to kill him, which destroyed the surrounding zone and created the Desert of Vol'dun, and even that didn't actually destroy his body. So they had to create a temple around his body so that no one would try to revive him, as it was constantly regenerating energy. So if an explosion strong enough to destroy an entire zone only puts him into a stasis, created by one of the old gods, I'd say that puts him around the same tier as the other people who could also defeat a wild god. So it's really hard to choose which one is the strongest of the bunch. I don't think the wild gods are that powerful. Though Archimonde does have the achievement of killing a wild god the easiest, and it was a very powerful one too.
Broke his fucking
whereas
neck.
Kil'jaeden's biggest feat of strength is creating the Lich King, which doesn't really involve him using power. I have to give the number 1 spot to Archimonde.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty fucking cool.
And speaking of power scaling, I couldn't really ask for a better sponsor for today's video than Crunchyroll, as power scaling and anime go hand in hand. Now, Crunchyroll is a great place to watch anime on any device you might have, as I routinely watch it on my iPad whenever I'm eating dinner.
I've never watched I've never watched anime seriously. I don't know why I never have. I could just never get into it. I know some people they love it. I don't know, man. There's something about it that I can just never really fucking get into.
And I've pretty much been an active user of the site for over 8 years now. So if you use my sign-up link, crunchyroll.com/Hirumaredx, and start your 2-week free trial,
I can start
you can watch
watching
all kinds of anime with super powerful characters as well, all professionally subtitled and going up an hour after they went live in Japan. Especially one of their newer series that's about to come out called The God of High School, which is all about fighting in big tournaments with martial arts and superpowers. Crunchyroll did a great job with
another fucking high school martial arts anime. Holy shit, man. Are you kidding me?
Tower of God, so I have high expectations for God of High School as well. Of course, there's much more than that. I'd also, again, highly recommend Hunter x Hunter if you want some crazy levels of power scaling. All in full HD, 1080p on any mobile device you might have. So make sure to use my sign-up link, crunchyroll.com/Hirumaredx, to start your 2-week free trial, as we continue on with super powerful characters in WoW.
All right.
And at number 9, we have Alakir the Windlord from the Throne of Four Winds. Now, the Elemental Lords were the old god's strongest minions, and they only created the Cathraxi after the Elemental Lords fell in battle to the Titan Keepers. After which, the Cathraxi became the old god's most powerful minions.
Alakir is pretty powerful.
But even then, a single Elemental Lord definitely surpasses the strength of any Cathraxi. As when it came to the battle between the Titan Keepers and the Elemental Lords, it took the combined might of 3 of the Titan Keepers working together in order to defeat a single Alakir. And he was hard counter too, as he was fighting Raden, Thorm, and Hodir, who were able to control the storms and weather just as well as he could, and literally just turned his powers back on him. And the Titan Keepers themselves are pretty strong individually. So the fact that it required 3 of them, who specifically countered his abilities, gives Alakir a pretty high feat of strength, and allows him to easily take a high spot on this list, just much lower compared to all the monsters who appear at the very top of this video.
I don't know, man.
I think Alakir appeared as the final boss in the Throne of Four Winds, and since he was killed in his own domain, is considered dead in lore.
Yeah, he's done.
And at number 8, we have Ragnaros the Fire Lord from Molten Core and the Firelands.
Man, Rag should definitely be higher, I think. I really think that I think Rag should be higher, in my opinion. I would say so, dude. What do you think, dude? Right? Yeah, I think it should be higher.
Ragnaros was another one of the elemental lords and considered the strongest by Chronicles, as it took two of the strongest Titan Keepers fighting together in order to take him down, Tyr and Odin. They were also able to hard counter his fire abilities by basically just being immune to it. Now, while Alakir did require 3 Titan Keepers to take him down, in lore it is stated that Ragnaros is the strongest and most destructive of all of the elemental lords.
Yeah, because he killed Alakir, didn't he?
So I have to put him a little bit higher than Alakir, even if he's possibly not that much stronger.
Yeah, sure.
Now, Ragnaros shares a distinction that few raid bosses have, where he was defeated multiple times. The first time in the very first raid of the game in the Molten Core.
Exactly.
And then again in Cataclysm in the Firelands, where he was killed in his own domain.
Exactly.
So now he's considered dead in lore as well.
Until they run out of ideas, and then they're bringing him back.
And at number 7, we have Deathwing, the dragon aspect of Earth, from the Dragon Soul raid.
At 7?
Now, Deathwing actually worked alongside Ragnaros and Alakir in the Cataclysm, as they were all minions of Nzoth, with Deathwing given the most amount of Old God juice out of all of them. So much so that him erupting from the planet tore it apart. And while a group of adventurers were able to kill both Alakir and Ragnaros in their home domains, in order for them to defeat Deathwing, they had to go back in time in order to steal the Dragon Soul through an elaborate time heist. And then when they had this super powerful artifact created specifically to kill him, Deathwing still had enough power after being shot twice by it to fly to the center of the world and nearly destroy the planet. So Deathwing had planet buster capabilities, which...
So he flies around, does whatever he wants, and then on top of that, they use the pancake on him. He still doesn't get fucking pancaked. And then you summon he summons all the tentacles, and then all the aspects have to attack him, and they lose all their power. And then they use the pancake on him a third time, and then finally, and he reshapes the entire fucking world. And Deathwing's so goddamn powerful, even in the books, it's like they would attack Deathwing, you wouldn't even take damage. He's so fucking powerful. Like, Deathwing is like... It's like the difference between like Deathwing and the other aspects is the same difference between like Deathwing and Galakrond. It's like a fucking universe of difference. There's no fucking way, man. No fucking way.
Definitely puts him on a higher scale when it comes to power scaling. Although both Illidan and Ner'zhul were also able to destroy planets, though they both require the aid of super powerful artifacts in order to do that. Whereas Deathwing had the capabilities of doing it with his bare hands, which is why he gets a higher spot than the Elemental Lords, who were considered the strongest minions of the Old Gods.
Yeah.
And at number 6, we have the artificial Old God, Ghuun, from Old Deer. Ghuun was the result of the Titan construct Mother experimenting with ways to solve the Old God problem, in which case she accidentally created her own. And while not as strong as the naturally grown Old Gods, Ghuun was still more than powerful enough to influence the world around him in ways very reminiscent of the normal Old Gods, which definitely implies he's in the same realm of power scaling as the other Old Gods.
What do you mean? What do you mean? That's like the size of Deathwing's head. Deathwing would fucking breathe fire on this thing and it would go away. He just set him on fire. He's the size of all of Nazmir, and this guy got kept, he sits in a cage. Give me a break. Size doesn't matter? Yeah, right. If it's that big, he literally would set Ghuun on fire. Think about the purification protocol. What is that? Probably it's really hot. And I guarantee you Deathwing breathed on Ghuun, he'd be dead. Ghuun is like, it's a fucking knockoff Old God. It's a knockoff, man. That's like you go to the flea market and you buy something that says Supreme, but they spelled the words wrong. That's Ghuun. What a joke, man.
If probably the weakest of the bunch.
Give me a
since
fucking
he was
break.
able to control Mithrax, who's a super powerful Old God minion, as well as all of his worshippers led by Zul, who successfully released him from his prison, and was only stopped thanks to the help of some Titan technology specifically designed to counter him. The Old Gods themselves are massively powerful beings, where even an artificial one could definitely end all life on Azeroth if it was able to escape properly. Which probably puts it at a little bit higher on the list of power scaling than Deathwing. Although since Ghuun is an artificial Old God, it's probably safe for them to kill him off for good. Rather than how all the other Old Gods are basically just pushed back into their prisons, or their avatars are destroyed and not their real bodies. And at number 5, we have Nzoth from Ny'alotha.
Okay.
Now, the old gods are super
That's fine.
massive,
This is
powerful
fine.
aliens
I
from
agree with
space
this.
created by the Void Lords for the sole purpose of trying to corrupt a Titan. And their real bodies span continents.
Yeah, this is fine.
And what you fight in any raid is basically just an avatar version of them, or a small portion that they were able to get out of the
Number
prison.
5, no.
When it comes to
Nzoth is like the least powerful of all the old gods. He's sneaky, but he's the least powerful. So yeah, I would say Nzoth, number 5 is fine.
Nzoth, though, he was fully freed from his prison, but thankfully was the weakest of all the old gods. And even then, when you do fight him in the raid, the entire raid is basically just Nzoth's body. And it's only thanks to the powers of the Dagger of Xal'atath and the Heart of Azeroth that you're able to kill him for the time being. Even so, being a real old god puts him above Ghuun, but canonically he is considered the weakest of the bunch.
Right.
And since he does appear as a raid boss, makes the list. Below all the other old gods, which, spoilers, will be the next 2 spots on this list.
Of course.
And at number 4, we have Cthun from AQ40.
Obviously,
another
Cthun.
one of the old gods.
Fucking obviously.
Cthun is the first old gods players ever face in game, and is considered one of the hardest raid fights of all time. Basically because of a whole bunch of bugs that made the fight unkillable. And in lore, they don't really give Cthun a proper power scaling, but I am able to place him because of something I'll talk about in the next section.
Good one.
But basically, because Cthulhu's specialty was creating the Alakir, the insect.
He's talking about pre-nerf? Man, we had Kevin Jordan come on the fucking show, and he said that shit would have gotten rolled over. It's a joke. That's the guy that made the fucking ball. He worked at the company. He said that's just a joke. He got rolled over.
Toyed monsters that accompany him in his raid. He was a great crafter of flesh, while also being a super massive powerful alien from space whose body probably takes up a full continent. Though that's all underground, and it's suspect whether he's still alive or not after the Sword of Sargeras was stabbed into him at the end of Legion.
Oh, that's a good point.
But he is considered stronger than Nzoth, as Nzoth was considered the weakest of the bunch.
Logically, that would make sense.
Which puts him at the number 2 when it comes to the weakest of the old gods, which is why he gets a higher spot than Nzoth on this list.
Fucking Yogg.
And at number 3, we have YoggSaron from Ulduar, the last of the old gods.
But what you gotta understand is, like, whenever we fought him there, that's like us fighting a pimple. That's literally us fighting a pimple of YoggSaron. Like, the actual Yogg was the size of Northrend. Imagine, like, how good you feel whenever you pop a pimple. That's like killing this fight. This guy was, Yogg was fucking super fucking powerful. He was taking over Titan Keepers. He was doing whatever he wanted.
Second one you fight in game.
Does anything you
now,
want.
YoggSaron was considered the second strongest of the old gods, as the first strongest was always considered Y'Shaarj, who was killed by the Titan Aman'Thul before they realized they couldn't actually kill the old gods without also destroying the planet. So they instead sent their Titan Keepers after all the old gods individually to put them in prison. And with the combined might of the Titan Keepers and their armies working together, they were able to imprison both Nzoth and Cthun pretty easily. Though YoggSaron gave them so much of a problem that he almost won the war for the old gods by himself.
That's right.
You see, YoggSaron created the Cathraxi, who are super powerful old god minions that are able to use magic and are super intelligent. So with the Cathraxi commanding the army of the old gods, they were able to employ actual tactics and magical feints against the super powerful and magical Titan Keepers. But eventually, the Titan Keepers were able to win because Odin came up with a gamble, where he commanded Loken to use his most powerful illusion spell to transform the Cathraxi and YoggSaron into versions of their enemies. And then, while the old god forces were confused by the illusions, they would mount a suicidal charge of literally all of their forces into their ranks at once, which paid off. The Cathraxi were confused and attacking each other, and the combined might of the entire Titan Keeper army, they were able to finally stop YoggSaron and put him in his prison. YoggSaron was also the one who created the Emerald Nightmare, since one of the World Tree's roots seeped into his prison and is involved in a lot of...
Wait, what? Really? That shit happened? So he turned that shit in... He did all this whole thing? For real. He made the... So he made the whole raid. Yogg's even more powerful than what I fucking thought. Yeah, he literally mind-fucked him. I didn't even know that.
Major lore events throughout WoW's history. He was also not a big fan of the Lich King, so the Lich King was probably happy when adventurers were able to take him down in Ulduar. So, for being considered the second strongest old god, and actually being a boss player's fight in the game, it takes the number 3 spot on this list. Just a note, the strongest old god, Y'Shaarj, never appears as the raid boss since he's dead before WoW starts. So he will not be on the list. And at number 2, we have Aggramar, from Antorus the Burning Throne.
This is like...
Now, Aggramar is the corrupted form of a Titan, and Titans are pretty much the second strongest beings in Warcraft lore, only beaten out by the Void Lords who can't actually enter the universe. So finding one is thought to be near impossible.
Well, I thought like this wasn't really Aggramar. This is like a shade of Aggramar. Like that's what it'd be like. It's an avatar of him. So it's not even actually Avatar or Aggramar.
However, what we find in the Burning Throne is the revived from death and twisted into a Dark Titan version, where his powers are nowhere near what they once were, since his actual body is as big as a planet. However, even in this incredibly weakened state, he's still a huge powerhouse, as the only way players are able to defeat it is thanks to 2 incredible power boosts. One of them is thanks to the help of another Titan known as Eonar, who gives the players a helpful boon and fights alongside them. And thanks to the fact that all of the characters who fight Aggramar are holding literally the most powerful weapons in existence.
That's true.
As when you walk up to Agramar's boss room, the normal adds you have to fight are corrupted Titan Keepers. So the minions to his boss room are strong enough in lore to be their own raid bosses.
Yeah, that was fucking like, dude, I think like people didn't understand like how much of a big deal Antorus was. I don't think enough people respected it. Like, they didn't take it seriously enough. Like, that was like, basically, you went to the top of the top of the top. It's like you were fighting through, like, the elite Burning Legion champions, and, like, the second half of it was, like, fighting through, like, the strongest Nathrezim, and then you fucking fight a Titan. Like, it was insane.
Heck, the ads are actually more powerful, lore-wise, than a majority of raid bosses in the game.
Yeah.
So even in its super weakened state, it's still one of the strongest raid bosses in history.
Absolutely.
Based on lore. And you have to remember that when we fight the old gods themselves, we don't actually fight their real bodies, and kind of like an avatar version of them. It doesn't really matter, since when you do defeat those avatar versions, it definitely harms the real body as well. But be confident that Aggramar would definitely be able to defeat any of those old god avatars by himself, which easily puts him at the number 2 spot on this list.
Yeah, probably.
And at number 1, we have Argus from Antorus, the Burning Throne.
100%.
Raid. Argus is a
100%.
baby titan who has had his powers drained from him for years in order to fuel a demon army. So he's nowhere near as strong as a normal titan, but even so, he has more power than Aggramar and requires the combined efforts of all of the awakened titans plus the heroes of Azeroth holding the most powerful weapons in existence.
And he still beats him because it was a wipe. Remember that?
To beat him. And even then, halfway through the raid, he still kills everyone. And
Fucking
the Titans have to constantly resurrect you so that you can death rush them.
That's exactly
because
what I was...
Because there's no way you'd be able to defeat even a baby Titan without the help of other Titans. Now, considering both Aggramar and Argus are from the same raid, it kind of makes sense that they are both the 2 strongest raid bosses in lore.
Right.
Since you kind of need the help of the artifact weapons and the Titans in order to even have a chance at facing these 2 monsters. As remember, canonically, some of these artifact weapons have the power to destroy planets. I think the Legion version of player characters are probably the strongest versions of players in lore.
Well, fuck yeah, it is. Like, you go up on the top, like, think about the power scaling that happened in Legion, okay? You fucking go, you go into the Emerald Nightmare, and you defeat Xavius the Nightmare Lord after overpowering the demigod fucking Cenarius. Then you go into the Nighthold, defeat a fucking time-wielding fucking Elisande, Deep Dick Gul'dan, and defeat Illidan as the avatar of Sargeras. Then you go over to the the Trial of Valor, you beat Odin, you beat Helya, who's like a big fucking deal. I don't even know what she does, but she's a big deal. And then you fight Kil'jaeden, and then before you even fight Kil'jaeden, you fight an avatar of Sargeras himself that Egwene destroyed back a long fucking time ago. And then at the end of that, after that, You go to Argus and you fight a Titan directly. It's like a BFA. Yeah, so, you know, it said there's 4 old gods. Oh, there's a 5th one, but he's fake. You gotta go kill him. Oh, you did that? Alright, go kill your faction leader. Alright. Shit. Okay. You know, like, it's fucking ridiculous, man. Jane, Ashara was definitely a threat.
And I can't see them ever really topping that. So the fact that 2 of the strongest boss fights in the game's history appeared in that expansion definitely makes sense and is very fitting. So unless they have us fight another Titan, I can't really see something topping this spot on the list. Though based on some Shadowland lore spoilers, it seems as if the Jailer is stronger than a single Titan, so this list might become outdated once we get to that fight in the Shadowlands. Alright, and that's the list. As with any power scaling video, there's definitely going to be some vast inaccuracies, as Blizzard kinda decides how strong the character
100%.
is depending on how strong they need them to be at the moment. And they sometimes even retcon the power levels of characters later on. And there's also the possibility that I just forgot about someone. So if you think I forgot about someone super important, I'd love to hear about them down in the comments, as well as their feats of strength. This video was edited by The Flying Buttress. Links to his channel in the video description. And also, did you know only about 30% of the people who watch these videos are actually subscribed to the channel?
Video. Yeah, go make it 31%, boys. Go give them a sub. Listen, I like this. I like this video a lot. I love these because I feel like they're always so fucking contentious. Like, there's always somebody like, no, bro, dude, Illidan would have beat him, man. Oh, 100%. Like, there's always somebody who's fucking talking about it. Li Shen, dude, like, that's the thing, is like, all right, where would Li Shen... Dude, I bet Li Shen could beat the fuck out of Alakir. Like, I bet he could beat the fuck out of like, especially Archimonde, dude. Li Shen would punch Archimonde right in the dick. Like, I don't think Li Shen's really powerful. Like, I don't know if he'd be as powerful as these guys, right? Let me see the rest of these. A Hogger, yeah, right. Let's see if I find... Murmur is readable text, planet busting, elemental lord. Yeah, nobody gave a shit about Murmur, though. That was just a random-ass fucking 5-man boss. I don't know, man. Odin or Helya could have been disputed at the spot. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Helya, maybe, something like that. I don't know, dude. Discussing Li Shen. After Aman'Thul died, he passed his powers to Ra-Den, which Ra-Den stored away. And those are the powers that Li Shen stole. So full power Li Shen had the power of a literal Titan, not a Titan Keeper. Dude, Li Shen... I don't know if Li Shen... I feel like Li Shen could fucking beat Ghuun. Like Ghuun... I hate Ghuun. That shit's some... That's bull... Ghuun is like... You know whenever they have like a story and there's like an established fucking lore in the story and then they just invent some other new shit that comes out of fucking nowhere and then suddenly it's supposed to be like the new challenge and worry? That's the way I feel about with Ghuun. You know, like, it's like, what the fuck is that? Like, where the fuck is Ghuun coming from? I don't know, man. Like, but it's like, wait, there's more? Yeah, exactly, man.